Okay, today we're going to look at Caesar shift algorithm problem that I gave you last week, and I'm just going to go through how I would approach this particular problem. You can see here the coded message that I'd left you, and I asked you to write a method called Caesar shift. I'm just going to preview that so we can see it nice and tidy. Create a program that will include a method that is called Caesar shift. This method will take two parameters as input, a string and a number in the range of 0 to 25. The method should return a string. The method should perform a Caesar shift of n places on the input. Any character that is not a string should be left unaltered. All letters should be altered to lowercase and then shifted the appropriate amount. So one of the first things that I want to mention is the fact that this question actually specifies a method name. And you should use that method name. A number of people submitted work where the method name they used was encrypt or decrypt or shift, and next time you would lose marks on that because in the exam you'd lose marks on it. It's called Caesar shift with a lowercase c. Okay. Another thing that some people did was inside the method they validated the integer value that was passed. You don't have to, because here it says that it will take a number 0 to 25 and act upon that. So you don't have to carry out validation within there. That is called a precondition. So you're going to build a product which will have a precondition. So let's start moving to the code and having a go at this task. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a string, and I'll call it ciphertext. And you can see the way I've named the variable, which is lower camel case. The first word starts with a lowercase letter. Every subsequent word starts with an uppercase letter. And I'm going to drag in my piece of text that I gave to you. And we're going to try and decode that. And the way that we're going to decode that is we're going to have, and I'm going to call it plain text. Okay, and we're going to have that equal to, and it was called Caesar shift, and it would take a string. In this case it would be ciphertext and an integer value, which in this case I'm going to try 16, and then I'm simply going to print out the plain text to see if it's worked. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this because a number of people created scanners asking for inputs and so on, but here really I was more focused on making sure that the Caesar shift was correctly implemented. So here I'm just saying declarations, call the method or call the function, and now we're going to carry out the method for Caesar shift. And that will be a public method. It will be static, which means that we're not using object-oriented programming techniques. We are simply declaring a standalone method. It will return a string, and it's called Caesar shift. The Caesar shift itself takes a string, and we'll call that string s, and an integer that we will call n. So I'm going to start by declaring an empty string here, and you can see at the moment we seem to be getting a red underline under the word Caesar shift, and that's because we haven't returned anything. So here, if I went down and I returned that string called ch, then it would get rid of the red underline. So I've done that just now. Now what we need to do is we actually need to go through each letter. So I'm going to iterate through the input string. I'm going to do that using a standard for loop. and here I'm going to get an integer which is equivalent to the character at the position I. And what I can say here, and I'm doing this using really basic sort of techniques, if that number is greater than or equal to 65 and the number is less than or equal to 90, well, that means that it is uppercase. Okay, and so that then what I will do is I'll add 32 to it, and that makes it lowercase. So that is how to make something uppercase. And I've just spotted a small mistake I made there. I'm going to correct that because I'm getting the character value. So I'm getting the character there, and a character really is, it's just an integer in Java. So this section is detecting uppercase and converting to lowercase. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shift. I'm going to carry a small algorithm which will shift any letters, any lowercase letters. So first of all, I need to detect whether something is a lowercase letter, and if it is a lowercase letter, it will be greater than or equal to 97 and less than or equal to 122. Okay, so any ASCII value within there is a lowercase letter, and what I need to do to that is I need to shift it, and I will shift it using an equation that I will explain once I've typed it out. And you can see I'm using the modulo 26 here. That is the main part of this, which is the item which will basically add the shift. So the next thing I need to do is add the new letter to the output string. And so I'll do ch plus equals, and this thing is a number, so I will convert it into a character, and then it will automatically be converted to a string when it's concatenated to the string ch. I'm now going to just try and run that and see if it works. And yeah, that's exactly what I expected. And I've just zoomed in a little bit. You can see here that the message has been decoded successfully. I'm just going to zoom back so we can discuss this equation. And so what does this equation do? Well, basically it adds the shift. Okay, it adds the shift, and it does that just num equals num plus n, and that's fine. But then it's got all this other stuff, and so what this does is it will basically limit the value to 122, and it does that by subtracting 97 from num, and that basically will base num, so it will make num go into the range of 0 up to 25, and that's what num will be. But then when we add n to that, then we might be going beyond 25, and we don't want to go beyond 25 because the numbers 0 to 25 are the alphabet as far as we're concerned here, because we've just taken away the 97. So taking away the 97 makes num based. It takes it to 0 to 25. Adding the n means that we could go beyond 25, and we don't want to do that because values beyond z would be not inappropriate. We need to go back to 0, and the way we go back to 0 with this is we take that overall value, which could be, it could suddenly be greater than 25, could be 26, 27, 30, and we modulo that by 26. So we divide it by 26 and get the remainder. If you divide anything by 26 and get the remainder, or if you modulo 26 something, it means that that value is limited to the numbers 0 to 25. Any number that you modulo 26 can only ever be 0 to 25. So by doing that, we've actually made sure that this will go in a cycle 0 to 25. And then we added 97 to it again to bring it back to be an appropriate lowercase letter. So that's the explanation of this line here. Sometimes you just need to have a think about it and make sure you understand it. You could have done that using an if statement, but this is much more appropriate. So once again, I'm just going to run that, make sure it works, and that's absolutely fine. So I hope this has been helpful in showing you how to do a Caesar shift, a specific Caesar shift which put everything to lowercase and so on. There's other ways to do this, but this is a nice easy way to understand. Thanks for watching.